set? Are we set? Well, the last week we've seen our friends over here demonstrating in the name of an Extinction rebellion. Now, I posted a video this week about the issue, which caused a bit of controversy and annoyed some people who I consider to be sort of natural allies of mine, so I apologise to them for some of the language I used, but I don't apologise for the content of what the video said. And basically, that's quite loud, isn't it? Yeah, no, but that's loud for me anyway. I'll try and get past it, but it does make it difficult to speak. Now, my basic argument has been the following, and it wasn't something I invented myself. It was drawn from resources published by a woman by the name of Khoo Morningstar, who's a long-standing climate activist. And I looked into what she had written, and she had written a 200-page book, effectively. And this book really, it's titled The Manufacture of Greta Thunberg. Now, you can hear in the wording of that there's a certain distrust in the concept of what is happening, of how the campaign is being organised. Now, the more I read on this subject matter, the more I came to believe that the arguments that this person was putting are correct. And that is, and then the events that happened and the news that was broadcast led me also to believe that the arguments this woman was putting are correct. And I will tell you what the essence of them are. She argues, and I myself, I am not a climate scientist. Not that scientists are neutral, but I am not a climate scientist, and I'm not going to claim to be one. I have, and I've had for many years, because I consider myself someone who seriously investigates the questions they want to speak about with authority. So one subject I know about is political economy. Another subject I know about in depth is China. Another subject I know about is world imperialism. Another subject I know about, well, is capitalism. I do not know about climate science. But what I do know is these other questions, and I can approach the question of the protest movement today from the perspective of those different angles. Let me give you an example. If I go to the climate protest over here, and I say to the people protesting over here, or to David Attenborough, whose television programme this week proposed a powerful argument in favour of the protests we are seeing today. If I go to the demonstration and I say, long live China! China is the lead country fighting climate change. How do you think they will respond? How do you think they will respond?
They will put you in prison.
Sorry?
They will put you in
No, they won't put me in prison. But they will certainly be extremely skeptical, extremely critical. They will attack me. They will argue against me. They will say, what are you talking about? China is the destroyer of the universe, the polluter, supremo. The reality is, and this is a subject I know about. I have a PhD in Chinese political economy, passed last year. And I know for a fact that China is the #1 investor in green technology in the whole world. 4 times as much spending on green technology as the United States of America. 4 times. And yet, you won't hear that anywhere. Now, I'm not saying by that I'm a supporter and cheerer of the Chinese government. I'm not. However, I'm merely pointing out the factual evidence on the question. Now, the people on the demonstration over here have all week long, how you doing? Have all week long been arguing that there are 3 demands. 1. Zero net carbon by 2025. What does zero net carbon mean? It means not zero carbon, zero net carbon. It means if I'm a giant multinational polluter and I pollute the world, I can offset that pollution.
It's him again.
Why don't you piss off?
It's him again.
Not you, him. Get lost! Go on, fuck off! Fuck off! Now call the police somewhere. Where are they today? Where are they today? At the protest.
That kind of speaker. Doesn't mean basic German.
Turn the fucking noise off! It's Rick.
Playing anyway.
Yes, fuck off. Unbelievable. Sorry about that. Sorry about the swearing, ladies and gentlemen. Where was I? Ah, right. So, now, they argue there are 3 demands. Net carbon zero. What does it mean? It means if I'm a huge polluter, a giant polluter like ExxonMobil, I can offset my pollution damage by spending a bit of money on carbon offsets, by a tax deduction effectively, by spending money supposedly on a couple of trees. And I can trade that carbon offset across the entire world. These are what are called market-based solutions to climate change or climate problems. Now, effectively what we're talking about is pollution. Pollution. Now, I went to Tesco's yesterday. Tesco's is a big supermarket. It controls 29% of the food market in Britain. 29%. There are 4 giant food supermarkets which control 68% of the food market in Britain. I said on my Facebook page yesterday, what I did was I went to the supermarket. I spent a couple of quid on my dinner. I went to the supermarket, I bought a bottle of milk in a great big plastic container. Tesco's. I bought a salad in the discount department. I picked it up, it's in a plastic container. Inside the plastic container is a plastic bag with a bit of salad cream in it. I took that in my basket. I then got myself, a bottle of orange juice inside a plastic bottle. I then got myself a packet of crisps inside a plastic bag. I got myself a little bit of honey inside a plastic bottle. I then took it to the counter and paid at the counter. I then got a plastic bag where they charge you 5 pence to save the ecology. 5 pence to save the ecology. Now, I ask you this. If these people are serious about fighting damage to the ecology, why are they not targeting the large multinational companies that do most of the damage to the ecology? Why do they say Heathrow Airport or Oxford Circus? Sorry? Oh, piss off, will you? Piss off. You are not allowed to play. That's not Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, but you're not allowed.
There is a bylaw that you're not allowed to play instruments
you can't
or amplification in Hyde Park. Sorry, I'm going to go turn it off.
You can't do it.
Interesting, come on, get it filmed. Well, that's an interesting demonstration of Heiko's attachment to freedom of speech for everyone.
It's against the
To
law.
speak in Hyde Park, is difficult enough without having a lunatic who destroyed the Commonwealth Games running competition by running out and attacking the lead runner, dragging him to the floor because he's a lunatic, right? So now we have to put up with Hyde Park in charging over here with his noise, while you have to speak over that because we're not allowed to use amplification. Well, for God's sake, you've got to have a bit of regulation and structure to what you do. Otherwise, you can't possibly, someone turn around and say, well, that's free speech. Not free speech. If I'm speaking, no. All right, so whoever's got the loudest speaker will control Hyde Park.
Yeah, exactly. He can't.
There
he
is a
can't use
bylaw in this
amplification.
park
He
that
can't.
says anyone can speak in the park,
can't use amplifiers.
but you cannot use amplification.
Yeah.
So that's the law.
He's right.
That's the law, my friend.
He can
I've
speak,
been
he can
speaking
shout, but
here
no amplifiers.
33 years, my friend.
But you
Right?
should, as a Marxist, you should be overcoming the law. What's this being obeying the
Come
law?
on,
This
man.
law helps me, my friend.
He's right. This time he's right.
Of course you enforce the law that helps you. Of course you do. Now, where was I? So in Tesco, we were in Tesco. It is a long time. 1986 I began. I don't get paid, but if you want to pay me, I'm willing to accept your donation.
Hey, I want to get paid too, man.
Now,
Plastic bottle, yeah.
bottle of water in plastic. And you notice all around London, wherever there used to be taps where you could get water for free, all closed down. All closed down. If you want to go to the toilet as well, you have to pay someone to go to the toilet. What sort of world are we living in? And then these people, I said, what can you do practically that has an impact on the pollution of the environment? Well, I tell you this. If these people are serious about campaigning to protect the environment, okay, I have a suggestion. Don't go to Heathrow Airport. Don't blockade Waterloo Bridge. Don't blockade Oxford Circus. That was just a show. It's a show. It's a media show. It's a campaign. Instead of this, you can do the following. Go into Sainsbury's, or Tesco's, or Morrison, or Asda, who control between them 68% of the food market. Get this trolley. When you go down the aisle, 5 of you go down the aisle, and every single piece of plastic you put en bulk inside your box. En bulk inside your trolley. You fill one trolley, you go back, fill the next trolley. 5 of you can clear the aisle in half an hour. Then you leave the shop. Then you come back half an hour later and you do the same thing.
Instead, they buy their food in
You do the
Tesco.
same thing. Then you come back, you're not shoplifting, you're taking things off the shelf, putting them in a basket, leaving them in the basket and leaving the shop. You're coming back and doing the same again. You're coming back and doing the same again. You're providing employment for the workers, you're providing business for the company, and you're exposing the connection between the pollution of the environment and the giant multinationals that control the food supply of this country, and also thereby control the food chain going back to the farms. One of the biggest polluters, so-called of methane gas, where does it come from? Cows. Who are the outlets supplying the cows to you? It is Tesco's, it is Sainsbury's, it is Asda's, it is Morrison's. So if you want to hit these companies, then you appeal to the workers inside the company. This week, I'm suggesting it now. It's on video. So far, people just attacked me. They said, why are you attacking them? Why are you saying something bad about Extinction Rebellion? Isn't it positive, revolutionary, dramatic? The truth of the matter is, the research I did tells me the following. The young girl, Greta Thunberg, she's coming here next week on Tuesday, and she's going to speak to the House of Commons. She's going to speak at a meeting in the Friends Meeting House. Everyone's going to cheer her. Everyone. Me too. Wonderful girl. How can you not? And yet, ask yourself this. If she is really the champion fighting, the champion face fighting against the system of destruction of the environment, why is she meeting with all the leaders of the world? Why is she speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos?
Why are they allowing
It's
her?
precise. Why is she meeting with the Pope, the biggest paedophile ring in the world? Why are they claiming? They're claiming we want the government to discuss with us. The government can't even pass one bill through Parliament in 3 years. 3 years they can't even arrange Brexit. And yet we're supposed to believe that they're going to help us solve ecological problems. This is nonsense. At the same time, not a word is spoken. Not a word is spoken by the leaders of Extinction Rebellion about the biggest polluter on the planet, and that is the American Department of Defense. What about the bombing of Iraq? They spent $1 trillion on the bombing of Iraq. The Department of Defense is the single biggest consumer of fossil fuels in the world. It's been calculated that even if all fossil fuel usage in the world was stopped, except for the Department of Defense, same process that they're predicting about climate change would happen anyway, because the Department of Defense has such giant consumption on a world scale. And then we're supposed to believe these people are fighting against many of the people protesting, yes. They're being duped and manipulated. And who are they duped and manipulated by? I'll tell you this. You need to know who you're fighting, rather than pretend that the people you should be fighting are your allies. That's the first thing. If you want to engage in a battle to change something, you have to know who you are fighting, who's responsible, rather than the nonsense about we're all responsible. So I posted this picture of a bottle of water in plastic, and someone said to me, someone said to that exactly that. The truth of the matter is, because the entire structure of the economy is designed like this. It is Tesco, it is Asda, it is Morrison's, it is Sainsbury's, who controls the customers are cannon fodder, just like those people are cannon fodder for a campaign initiated, sponsored and backed by the giant multinationals who claim to be the defenders of the planet. Who are they?
No argument there.
If you look in the news this week, the first day of the demonstration, there was a statement on the BBC website. Look it up. Legal and General, the lead financier in Legal and General, announced on the BBC that he is alongside the protest against climate change. And he said there is £1 trillion in pensions that Legal and General control, that they're not allowed to freely spend, and they want to spend this money, your pension money. They want access to it so they can spend it on so-called green technology. What is this green technology they've got? There's some experiments with what they call carbon capture devices. Cost billions and billions, and there's no evidence that they work, and yet they want to scale them up with massive state investment. Why do they want the massive state investment? They want the massive state investment and the massive investment of your pension money, of institutional finance that they're not allowed to access at the moment. They want access to that. As Al Gore and the World Bank said, look it up, unlocking finance for climate. Unlocking finance for climate. Look it up on YouTube. And you'll find the very people who are sponsoring and supporting hysteria about the immediacy of the collapse of the world as a consequence of so-called climate change, or their alleged structure and dynamic of climate change. The very people Yes, it is hysteria. My friend,
Look at that camp of bums over there. Is that not the hysteria?
my friend, the scientific consensus is one viewpoint. Now, you may or may not agree with that scientific consensus. However, to turn round and say that the world definitely will face extinction if we don't change X, Y, and Z by 2000, whatever, in 12 years' time, is utter nonsense. It's utter and complete nonsense. I remember when they said the millennium bug is going to destroy the world. I actually believed it. Not it would. On the contrary, it was. It was the tech freaks. You can say that afterwards, in hindsight, and in 12 years' time, if I'm still alive, I guarantee I'll still be speaking here. The sun will be shining, or the rain will be pouring, and there may be climate change, there may not be climate change. It may be bad, it may not be bad, but don't get this hysteria that they're promoting. The reason they're promoting is as follows.
So when did they say they were going to policy?
They said in 12 years' time, if you don't change policy completely now, the whole world will reach the tipping point and the world will become extinct.
Stephen Hawking said
All life on Earth.
he said 10,000 years.
Well, that's Stephen Hawking, but he's dead.
Yeah, I know, but
That's another issue. Now,
We should welcome our extinction.
Now, it is perfectly true that climate change in history has had a dramatic impact on life on Earth. Take, for example, the extinction of the dinosaurs. Take, for example, the Ice Age. Take, for example, the end of the Ice Age. Take, for example, the colonisation of England. How do you think England was colonised? Because climate change moved the seas. When the Ice Age ended, the sea levels rose by 100 metres. 100 metres they rose by. Now, I'm not advocating an ice age or advocating the end of an ice age. I'm saying climate changes happen anyway. In addition to that, there may be, as they are arguing, human-determined climate change. But that does not argue that the world will end through some tipping point in 12 years' time. That argument is nonsense. No matter who puts that argument, it's nonsense.
What they're saying is, if we don't do something
I know. And I'm telling you what you can do. But they're not doing anything significant. What they're doing is...
Yeah, what course of action would you encourage?
I'm saying that.
by 12 years, then we could go into a stage where whatever we do, it would be too late.
Yeah. Okay, so that's their argument. So the point they're saying is, however, it's a sort of, you're with us or you're against us. So if you say, oh, but, then they say, no, you're destroying the world, right? That's the argument. I've had it all week, right? And then they say they're in favour of democracy. Well, what is the democracy? Members of Extinction Rebellion sign up to a piece of paper. They say, are you prepared to give your skills? Are you prepared to get arrested? Are you prepared to go to prison? That's what you sign when you join up with their campaign. Any two activists can make a decision about doing an action. So the guy in charge of the campaign, the little guy who had an argument with Alan Bolton on television and stormed out, he sent out a text message via WhatsApp saying, let's close down Heathrow Airport. And so that's the basis on which the decision was made to close Heathrow Airport. That is supposed to be some sort of democratic organisation. When two people can decide to try and close an airport, luckily that didn't happen, because that would utterly discredit all movements that they're doing. However, the question is this, that's what I want to put to you. Legal and General came out in support. Then the Governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, or Carey, what's his name? Carey. He suddenly said, along with the Governor of the Bank of France, in the BBC, they said, we believe dramatic action on climate change must happen now. And what did he add? He said, we need the finance for it. The finance for it. Then he said, there's 15.3 million pounds of institutional finance that should be unlocked to made available for the green companies. And these green companies, what are they? Are they state-funded scientific investigations to make machinery and equipment serving the public, owned by the public, for the public, by the public? No, it's Microsoft, it's Google, it's Facebook, all of whom were involved in the NSA's plan and operations to spy on the entire world. And why do they want? Then, after that, on Thursday, 34 of the world's leading banks and regulators made a statement to the press saying how they want finance for market-based solutions to the climate problem. See a pattern here? A pattern?
Comrade, we're all trying to hear you, man. You know, keep
Trying.
spreading the message.
I'm trying.
Faith
I'm
alive.
trying. Sorry? George Monbiot's a nice guy, but he's mistaken in believing that what these people are demanding is a fight against capitalism. What's happened? I mean, whether the individuals on the ground are, I don't know. Maybe they are. I'll go and speak to them later on. The question is, not a, people are being used. That's the point. The campaign is demanding that the government come and discuss with them, and that the government sets up a citizens' assembly. What is a citizens' assembly? A citizens' assembly is a marketing ploy. You select a random group of people cross-secting with a specific demographic in society, and then you say they will decide. Why should they decide? Who are they to decide? They will come under pressure from the largest multinationals, from the scientific community, from the big banks, from the big financiers who want to transfer pension money and institutional finance that they presently cannot get access to. They want to transfer up to 100 million US dollars into financing a war against climate change. But actually it's not a war against climate change. It's a war on the ecology by the largest corporations in the world in the name of what? The climate battle is between companies in China that dominate the market for green technology. They completely dominate. Sorry? What? My friend.
The Chinese may produce it because they got the cheapest production cost, but the technological innovation is going on outside of China.
So they bought it. The point is, nobody has invested the money except the Chinese. And because of that, America feels it's falling behind. And therefore, American capitalism wants to have new pump of finance thrown at it out of your pensions and your children's funds to finance their expenditure in a battle against China on technology. That's actually what it's about. That's actually what it's about. And then they tell you that they want to have, they tell you now, you've seen the news, Huawei, they say. Huawei is the enemy. They arrested the daughter of the leader of Huawei in Canada. They're telling everybody, don't buy Huawei. Huawei's a Chinese spy operation. The truth of the matter is, Apple phones, Samsung phones, all the other Western companies have got devices inside them implanted by the CIA. That's not my invention. That was reported in Vault 7 of the WikiLeaks documents dumped by Julian Assange. That's why they grabbed him out of the Ecuadorian embassy and are planning to chuck him. Are planning to chuck him.
Donald Trump get into the White House. He dumped the anti-Hillary Clinton emails and he timed them for maximum effect. That's what Julian Assange did.
Well, Facebook claimed to be big Democratic supporters. Mark Zuckerberg wanted to stand for President of America. He's only one of the richest men in the world, far richer than Donald Trump, with a giant interconnection to the minds of the world's population. And he wanted to stand for President of America until such time as the Cambridge Analytica scandal emerged, where Zuckerberg's company was integrated with Cambridge Analytica to manipulate the election in the United States of America and in the Brexit vote in Britain.
Are you going to stop
So
using Facebook?
understand, this is a global battle between giant multinationals to try and twist the minds of the world to suit their agenda and their mark, and they want your money to pay for it. Just the same as when the banks were bailed out in 2008. Who were they bailed out by? They were bailed out by you and your children. That's where the money came for bailing out the banks. Now these same banks, look at this, Greta Thunberg. Who discovered Greta Thunberg? Anybody know? How many times do you think it is that one person demonstrates somewhere and suddenly the whole world media is watching that person? There's 2 cases recently. One was a woman by the name of Malala. Malala, I mean, for my sins, I've been involved in the Marxist movement for how many years? God knows. For 38 years. 38 years or more. Since 1981, I've been involved in the Marxist movement. 1980 actually. Now, Malala was in the same Marxist organisation as I was. In the same organisation in Pakistan.
What age was she?
She was about 13. She was shot in the face. And when she was shot in the face, the NGOs, now get this straight, NGOs aren't charities serving the people. NGOs are a global imperialist industry. They go into countries and they change the politics. They manipulate the people. They pick out the smartest brains. They go scour the universities and they turn the leaders in the poorer countries into agents of Western imperialism in the name of charity, in the name of wildlife, in the name of green technology, in the name of positive agricultural projects. They manipulate the world alongside the wealthiest countries in the world. At the same time, they have a green face about them. They present themselves as saviours of the world. Remember, when starvation racked Ethiopia in the 1980s, and then instead of solving the problem of starvation, we had Bono, we had Michael Jackson, defender of all children on earth, making a song, "We are the world, we are the children." Meanwhile, he's buggering little children in his giant fairyland in the United States of America. Sorry? What?
He's a dead man, leave him alone.
Yes, they're all innocent. They're all innocent. Going back in history, all the capitalist institutions and powers are innocent. They're nice people. They're good people. Just change their minds. Just talk to them and they'll come to your side. No, they won't. They will manipulate you. They will use you. They will twist you. They will make what you think is your campaign into their campaign. And they will turn, like take Greta Thunberg. Who discovered Greta Thunberg? Greta Thunberg was discovered by a company by the name of There's Not Enough Time. They are launching an app on the 22nd of April. They launched the Greta Thunberg campaign. They found her, as they say. They spread her face in the media. They made her a youth advisor to their company. They've got 500 multinational investors backing them. 500 multinational investors, including the biggest companies in the world, Microsoft and so on. And these people are saying they are helping the world. On Tuesday, they're launching an app. Their app is coming out at the same time as the peak of the Extinction rebellion. And their app was aiming at a target demographic of the millennials. They want the young kids, the school kids. That's why they're promoting the school strikes of school kids. They want the school kids to download the app. And on that app, it'll be like TripAdvisor. You value the companies that are supposedly green. I notice, however, that the companies like the giant multinationals, the 4 biggest companies in Britain, controlling the food supply, Sainsbury's, Asda's, Tesco's, Morrison, 68% of the food supply of this country goes through those shops. The chain going back to the world agricultural system is connected to them. And yet, no one's attacking them. No one's taking down the plastic off their shelves. No one's protesting inside their shops and undermining the operations they've got. No, they're green companies. They're going to get the money to change, to become green friendly, to have some recycling bins. Actually, when you go home and you eat the food, you should put all the rubbish in a bag and go back to Tesco's and dump it on the floor there, because it's their rubbish. We don't need any of this rubbish in order to feed ourselves. It's their fucking rubbish. And yet we're told we have to get rid of it. And we pay taxes for a dustman to come around and collect it. We then pay taxes for recycling of the rubbish that they dump on us and make us buy. And then we're told, oh, it's your choice whether you want to buy this one for 60p or the other one for £2.20. These people want to con you, trick you, manipulate you, and make you think that the protest you're engaged in is a protest for the world. In actual fact, they're manipulating you to protest on their behalf, to make them our saviours. Bill Gates, yes, hero of the world. Virgin, what's his name? Richard Branson, hero of the world. Bono, hero of the world. Now, all of them sitting next to the little Greta Thunberg. The poor girl undoubtedly will suffer psychologically as a result of realising how manipulated she's been by the billionaires and millionaires telling her that they are saving the world. They're not saving the world. They are the main destroyers of the world. The military. March on MI5. March on MI6. March on the Department of Defence. March on the Navy. March on the Air Force. Yes, do that. Then come and tell me you're fighting climate change. Don't go and block up Oxford Circus to have a party. Have a party in Hyde Park. Have a permanent festival in Hyde Park, as far as I'm concerned. I've called for that right back in 1996 when the Reclaim the Streets movement was taking place. When I first came down to this demo on Monday or Tuesday, when I came down, I noticed something was not quite right about the atmosphere. It wasn't quite like a demo. And then you read up about it. Read the articles by Corey Morningstar. You can look it up. It's called Wrong Crying Green. Just look up Wrong Crying Green, and you'll see an article called The Manufacturing of Greta Thunberg. And I see some people here wearing the Extinction robe. Good, friends, good. Because we need to fight the real enemy, not the manipulation that we're being told to fight. Fight to get a citizens' assembly. No, we need a genuine democratic constituent assembly to make a constitution that serves the people on earth, that serves peace, freedom and plenty in harmony with the ecology. That means every new technology means a reduction in the working week. That means every new advance in science and technology serves the ecology rather than serving the billionaires and millionaires, the AI plans of Elon Musk, the space plans of these companies.
How do you think we can get this constitution? How can we get this constitution?
By revolutionary struggle.
Vive la revolution, comrade.
Yes, yes.
Vive la revolution.
Well, what is that supposed to be if it's not a revolution?
A Lenin style, I think.
What is? No, I'm asking you. If it's not supposed to be Vive la Revolution, what is that? You're saying to people
socialism.
The world will be destroyed unless you join us and get arrested, because in 12 years' time the world will be destroyed.
I hear you.
Now you're suddenly telling me
I'd say go
Vive
read
la Revolution is
Beatrice
a bad slogan.
It's a good slogan, but go read Beatrice Webb. She says
That
use the
building over
parliamentary
there,
methods.
that building over there has been empty for 30 years.
That's because nobody turns
Take it
out.
over. That building there is half empty for 20 years. Take it over. In Oxford Street, in Regent Street, in Shaftesbury Avenue, in New Oxford Street, there are thousands and thousands of square metres of empty properties. Take them all over, occupy them, seize them, make them available to the people, rather than talking about
how everybody should join in sitting on the street. Good for you that you can fight. Good for you that you've got the energy. Good for you that you've got the will. But we need to target the enemy. We need to target the enemy, to identify the enemy and to fight them rather than fighting each other. Fight the real enemy. That means the big businesses, the big banks, the multinationals, the Defence Department, the military, the security services. They are the enemy. They are the ones responsible. Don't blame the consumer. Blame the systemic structure and actually fight against it. So take over Tesco's, take over the empty buildings, take militant action to transform the balance of power on a day-by-day basis. Organise, combine and fight. You go into Tesco, you get 5 of you, get a trolley. You go down one aisle, you fill all the plastic, packaged goods into the trolleys. You leave those trolleys at the other end of the supermarket. You go and get another trolley. You fill that up as well. And you keep doing that. Keep doing it. Demanding that Tesco's remove all plastics from their goods, from their packaging within 1 year. And you want, I'm just pronouncing it now. I only thought of it yesterday. Well, these people have had decades to think about it. And all they can come up with is, please, Theresa May, help us. What a lot of bullshit. She can't even pass a Brexit bill. What the fuck is she going to do for the environment? I'm suggesting it now. There's more than one of you now. Extinction Rebellion can send out a text. 2 members can initiate an action. So do it. I'll join in. Yes. I'm leading the way now by advocating it, my friend. I will come back over the next few days with posters, leaflets, pamphlets, and believe you me, I'm not afraid of speaking. I will go to the different meetings and I will speak at every demonstration of Extinction Rebellion, and I will advocate that demand. Sorry? Of course I can't act unless they join us, but I believe that the members of the activists in Extinction Rebellion, they know there's something wrong. They know that more should be done. And that's why I'm coming with a suggestion. It's a suggestion. I want them to vote on what they do. I want them to think, do we want that or that? Maybe they don't want to do Tesco, they want to do Asda. Maybe they don't want to do Asda, they want to do a bank. Maybe they don't want to do a bank, they want to occupy buildings. But some real militancy that challenges wealth and power. That's what I'm advocating, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'll be advocating next 2 weeks.
Let's go and occupy those buildings.
Sorry, the lady here wanted to know about Malala. So when Malala was taken by the big businesses and by the big institutions and the NGOs, she transformed from being a Marxist. I remember seeing her, an interview with her. She'd just met the Queen. The Queen, the enemy of the Indian people, the enemy of the Pakistani people, the cause, alongside her family and associates, of the division of India, of the murder of millions of people, the Amritsar massacre. Last week they were talking about it in Parliament. The British murdered something like 1,000 innocent people 100 years ago in that park. And yet Theresa May, she won't even apologise. She won't even apologise for what they did 100 years ago. So clearly, she's not going to change anything now. So Malala turned and she goes, the Queen, oh, she's such a wonderful person. In other words, they twist a young child. They turn her into an opposite of what she stands for. And they make her an icon, a figure, a media presentation, a packaged marketing campaign. That's what it's about. And that's what they're trying to do today. And I'm sick of it. Sick of it.
Comrade, when will Corbyn atone for his past crimes of the Middle Eastern Nazi organisation and just go to Israel, just open his mind, go to Israel, visit the official visit, and just say sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm not engaging in that discussion. Look, we've had it. Look, this is the type of campaign again.
Why? What's the problem? You know what I mean?
We have a campaign around one issue, a campaign against another issue. There are media-savvy organisations with millions or billions of pounds at their disposal who run campaigns to make a certain issue appear to be the number one issue. In the Labour Party, you know what that issue has been. One is, they say, referendum. Why is Corbyn not calling for a referendum? The other is anti-Semitism. Why isn't Corbyn doing enough about anti-Semitism? If he was to fly to Israel, convert to Judaism, bow down on his knees at the Holy Wall, and declare that everything he's ever done in his life is a monstrosity and failed Judaism, they would call him an anti-Semite.
The mistake is someone being in the lab, mixing two chemicals together and blowing up. Blowing up people strategically to promote fear and promote certain things. So if something is a holy site, taking it out. So can you please explain to me? Can you please explain to me? This was one of the first suicide.
Content over everything. From your
God, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Let's
clothing.
Let's
not this. We will not fight.
Let's bring it back.
This is what.
Let me start there.
Listen, let's
start there. Let's reset the clock. Let's reset the clock.
I know what this is from.
Okay.
I know what this is from.
Samuel,
I said the other guy just said
no. Okay, wait. Let me, for the purposes of this camera, let me reset the clock here. Are you rolling? Content, you rolling?
Live, man. Live. Let's go.
Okay, let me say this. Peace to all who are gathered here. Assalamu alaikum.